Hello, welcome to Art Rant, and today I'm going to tell you some MIYA HIMI gouache tips that I think really no one talks about. Okay, so to me, this set is great. If you're just starting out for under 30 bucks, you get 24 colors. And I think if you're just getting into gouache, this is great. But I think this is a set to have in studio. This is not practical for traveling because the thing is, the cups, they stay open. So even if you tilt your palette a little bit, some of the gouache is gonna get out. So what I do is I keep this in studio upright and I keep it closed because the thing is, the gouache, it does dry out. And if you're painting with just this palette and you're working on the palette and you have this open, the gouache is gonna start to dehydrate and you're gonna get some cracking and it's not gonna be as good for your brush. You're basically gonna wear down your brush trying to re-wet the color. So tip number one, take some gum arabic and just put a layer of it, like maybe 2-3 drops per cup on top, and then just spread it with a paintbrush. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna seal in whatever moisture is already in the gouache. Because when you first open them, what you see is like a layer of kind of this color stuff on top of all the cups. And it even smells like gum arabic. It doesn't really smell like paint, it smells more like gum arabic. So this is great because gum arabic doesn't really dry out. So you can use this to keep your main palette wet while you scoop colors out of it onto a smaller palette. And this is tip number 2. Use this as your source of gouache where you store most of the colors, but don't actually use this to paint with. Get a smaller palette, a little watercolor palette, and make a smaller travel version of this palette. And basically that's what I did here. I got this palette from, I think, AliExpress, but you can also get it on Amazon or Etsy. It does take about a month to 2 months to arrive, but this is the perfect travel palette to go with the HIMI gouache palette. The only thing is, the pans that it comes with are just crap. They're like a quarter size, very shallow pans, so I just threw them out. And I got the regular pans for watercolor, and I filled them up. There's magnets on the bottom, so you can take them out. And this is so great because I don't really care if this one dries out a little bit as I'm painting. And actually I let this one dry out a little bit more because I want it to be really portable. I want to be able to travel with this, to pack it any way I want. With this one, this is pretty delicate when it comes to traveling with it. Because even if you store it like on its side for a bit, all the colors, they're so liquidy that they're just gonna spill into one another with time. And also, this thing is heavy. It's like 5 pounds maybe, so it's not convenient to travel with. But if you depot your gouache into a smaller palette, it doesn't really matter if you get some of the pans kind of dirty and you mix, because you can always take these and wash them out. You can always add more color to it, you can always clean the color, and you go through these small pans pretty quick. So if you're always adding more and more color, you're gonna keep them really, really clean. And if water spills inside the palette, the little pans are so easy just to take out, rinse this out. I really like that this is so clean. And also this is metal, so the colors don't stain it. And here's an old palette that I used to have, and this was great, but it only fits 12 colors. Whereas here you can put 23. And plus when you close them, they're about the same size. But here, you get an extra mixing tray. So I think this is great to have when you're traveling, if you want to preserve the original colors, keep them really clean, and have a really good range of colors when you're traveling. Because yeah, limited palettes are great, but there's a lot of colors out there and your work can start to look really dull if you're using only 10 colors. So those are my tips for how you can get more out of the 24 color gouache set. To use the original as a source of colors, but not to actually paint with it. To keep the colors in jelly form for longer by covering the top with a layer of gum arabic. And to make a mini travel palette. A palette that you don't really care if it gets dried out or some of the colors get kind of muddy, because you can always refill it, you can always wash them out. The palette itself is metal, it's not going to stain like the original plastic, and it's so lightweight you're going to be able to travel with it, no problem.